up, Battle? Old 64 here. Thanks for clicking on my YouTube channel again. So, in the past, I've done a couple of different videos. You saw some repair videos on my 71 and 96 Oldsmobile 98s. You also saw a video on my 1986 Ford F-250, you know, with the 6.9 liter naturally aspirated diesel. No turbo in that one. I gave you information on essential trimmers, and then I talked about the patches that I like to wear on my tactical cap. So today I'm going to do something different again. You know, I'm trying to figure out what YouTube likes. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to brew a beer kit that's extract. You can get it at your local brew supply. And I actually have already done some filming and editing for this video, and I found out that it's going to be longer than one video. You know, I don't want it to be too long. So I'm going to do a video on brewing it, and then I'll probably do a video on bottling it and tasting it as well. So let's get over to the brew house and see how it's done. Okay, Battle, here we are in the brew shop. You probably recognize it. And today I am going to show you how to brew an extract kit. I have brewed all grain before, but extract is easier to do by yourself. So I just got this from a local brew store. I would suggest this brand. You know, I covered everything up, but once you go to your brew store, your local brew expert, he'll have this brand or she'll have this brand. And I definitely recommend this brand over the stupid easy one that you buy on the international shopping website. I think you're going to get good brew out of this. And I had a friend that used the other brand where everything comes in one box, and I think it makes about 2 gallons. But this brand is designed to make 5 gallons. That friend of mine, he did that kit, and it really turned out disgusting. But I've done plenty of these. I washed everything to start out with, and I set everything up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit it up with some sanitizer that I just keep in a spray bottle. Like I said, you might be disgusted by my caveman techniques, but if you come to visit, then it just leaves more beer for me. You don't have to drink it. So I got water from the house, 2.5 gallons. I live in the county, so I actually have 2 wells. I used the well that I put water in the pool with to wash everything, but then I used the well for the house that has a water softener on it for the brew, and then we'll top it off with that water from the house as well. When you do your brew day, you can get water from the grocery store. I would suggest that you do not get distilled water. You're not filling a radiator in a car. Distilled water is just too still. Just get drinking water from the grocery store. Or better yet, use the water that comes out of the faucet in your house. It's clean. In fact, advanced brewers sometimes emulate the water in different parts of the world to make their brew as close to the brew that comes from that city. But I've never done that before. I just use well water. It makes it my own special brew. So I have the heat on. All you need to do is use a turkey fryer that you can get at any big box store. So first we steep the grains for 20 minutes. Then it becomes wort. Once you pitch the yeast, then it becomes beer. So steep for 20 minutes. Then we add the dry malt extract, the lemon taste kicker, and the lactose. So we add all those 3. I'll move this over here so we can tell. We add all these 3, and then we bring it to a boil. Once it's at a boil, we boil it for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we add both of these after 30 minutes. So boil 30 minutes, both of the hops packs, boil 20 minutes, spice pack, boil 10 minutes and terminate. Then we have to use the wort chiller to get it down to temperature, and then we can pitch the yeast. Too easy, right? Actually, I do have Werflock tablets someplace. I guess I could add those with the spice pack. They say that the Werflock makes all the turb in the beer fall to the bottom, but then in the past I've done a secondary too, and so as long as your primary fermentation is done, you can do a secondary and you can clarify it a little bit, and that's a good way to taste the beer. I like to give it a little bit of a stir. With the grain bag. Now, I don't want it getting too hot. If your temperatures get too hot, then it's gonna leach the wrong kind of sugars out of the grain. Turn it down just a hair. Actually, if you do the math, I think you can still brew beer cheaper than you can buy it. Well, maybe not if you buy the really cheap beer, but real beer. And I drink all kinds of beer. There are some people that say, oh, well, I only like an IPA. My neighbor, he likes the, Optimus Imperator, the really hoppy IPAs. I'll drink those. I also like the malty beers. That's what my dad likes. He only likes the porters or the stouts. But I drink all sorts of beer. The only bad beer I've had was when I was in Huntsville, Alabama, training to go to Afghanistan, and I remember it was a blueberry beer, and it had a dog on it. So I don't know if anybody is watching this from the Alabama area that might know of that brand. It tasted like blueberry syrup that you put on your pancakes, so I could not drink that beer, but all the other beers I enjoy. They all have their own unique character and their own taste. And so this one's that lemon radler. It'll be easy to drink during the summer. Of course, it's right in the middle of the summer now. I probably should have brewed it earlier, but we're still in 150s, which is ideal. They say 150 to 165. Give it a little bit of a stir. There you go, essential trimmers, right? So battle, I got another pitcher. You can see there I put the grains that I had steeped in the water to make my wort. I put them in that pitcher. I like to taste them. No need to completely get rid of the grain once you're done. Actually, interesting fact, if you've ever seen an old Western and you see the hillbilly drinking from a jug that has XXX on it, the more X's on the jug, the weaker the alcohol. And each X indicates that they use the grain from a mash to make spirits again. And you can do that with beer too. You use the grain over again, and it's called party guile. And I might be mispronouncing it. I asked the gent that owns the brew store about it, and he said he had never done it before. But in the Middle Ages, they would actually do a party guile, and then the nobles would get the first brew off of the grains, and they'd do a second party guile, so it would be XX, and then that would go to the monks at the abbey, or the knight of the manor, and then they would do another party guile, so it would be XXX, and then the peasants would get it. Or maybe they would even do another one, so it would be 4 X's. It'll be very watered down. And that's something I've always wanted to try, but I haven't done. Like I said, I rarely do all grain brews. You can see that I got my grilling glove because that lid is hot now. And then I also put the drain cock on the fermenter bucket or the bottling bucket. That's what I'm going to use for fermenting. This is liquid extract. You can put this in a pan of simmering water, not even simmering, just warm water on the stove. But it's pretty hot out here, so I got a good portion of it. Give it a stir. Can still feel that heat coming off of the burner. Add the lactose. While you stir. All right. So we steeped our grains, made it into wort. We added our DME, almost had a boil over, but prevented it. Added our liquid extract, added our lactose. So now we bring it back up to a boil and start our timer. And I finished some water, but I figure I might as well go ahead and pour myself something to drink. So I thought I had a farmhouse ale in the fridge, but I don't. This is a easy IPA. So let's see here. And this is an Oldsmobile quarter century glass, February 15th, 1958. One of the best years for Oldsmobile. They called it the Chromesmobile. I think it's a beautiful car. A lot of people think it's ugly. My dad got me these beer glasses. I have two. He has two whiskey glasses that say the same, and I've turned on the camera because I was going to ask you, who do you think owned these initially? He bought them off of eBay. I don't know if it was the original owner that sold them to him, but it makes me think it must have been some salesman at an Oldsmobile dealership, or maybe an engineer that worked for Oldsmobile. Because who had beer and whiskey glasses back in the 50s? I think it's pretty cool. I have a number of beer glasses, and I thought, well, which one am I going to decant my beer into for the video? And I thought, well, this Oldsmobile glass would be the one. It doesn't have a rocket on it, so I suppose the name Oldsmobile is owned by General Motors, but it's hovering right there at about 210 degrees, Battle. I turn it up a little bit, and then it starts boiling too fast, and I turn it down, and then it goes out, and I relight it. But you can see, at least I can see, the grains and stuff boiling. It swells up a little bit. I don't know if it's picking it up on this lousy phone camera that I have. If I keep this up long enough, then I will get a better camera, a GoPro or something. We'll see. There's the Werflock. Like I said, it's hovering right at boiling. Can you see it welling up? Sanitize as you go. I guess my brewing methods are pretty primitive to some professionals out there, but it's better than the rot gut you can buy at the store, unless you buy the premium. 9 minutes and we're done with our boil. And there's been water in that bottling bucket in that fermenter for dang near an hour, and it hasn't leaked a drop. So I'll empty that, and then I'll sanitize the inside of the bucket, and it'll be ready to accept the wort. There's a little bit of hops in there, a little bit of grain from the initial bag of grain, but that's okay. It'll settle to the bottom in the primary, and then we'll see if I do a secondary. I might not. Wort into the fermenter. Cool, Battle. So I have the wort chiller in the wort. The wort was about 120 degrees. I transferred it into the fermenting bucket, or the bottling bucket, and I added water up to 5 gallons. I added it inside the house, so water from the water softener, but it's still from the well. Actually, Battle, this right here, this is the wort from the grains at the very beginning of the brew. And I threw the grain away, but we might as well try it. That's very sweet. I hope that bodes well for the brew. I hope it didn't get so hot that I started extracting the wrong kind of sugars from the grain. But I think it'll be fine. That's sweet, it's tasty. If that's any indication of what the finished product is going to be like, then double plus good, I'd say. The wort chiller's been running for about 15-20 minutes. Let's see what the temperature is. Not a drop down here. There's some water here, but it's just condensation from the cold water going into the wort chiller. I keep moving the wort chiller to sort of stir up the wort. All right, it says 64 to 72, and we're down by 69 now, so I'm going to call it. I'll take the wort chiller out, then we'll do a gravity reading and pitch the yeast, and I'll show you where I'm going to store it, and we'll get back to it after it's fermented. 1.062. 1.062. Oh, I think I know who the man is. We were supposed to be 1.050. That means there's more sugar in the wort, which means when the yeast goes to work, there's going to be more alcohol. So I could add some water, but I'm right at 5 gallons, so I'm going to pitch the yeast and we'll see what our final gravity is. Now, you got to be careful, because if there is too much sugar in the wort, then the yeast can have a hard time converting it into alcohol if it's the wrong kind of yeast. But I'm going to go ahead and pitch. The dry yeast packs are easier to use. I have used the slat packs before. And I do have a yeast starter flask. I think these guys will be good. Set it in a place that's not going to have a lot of temperature variation. I use the Christmas decorations closet, and we'll check it in a week or two and see where our gravity's at. So, Battle, what do you think? That's how you brew an extract beer kit. You can find one of them at your local brew store. Now make sure you give it enough time in the primary fermentation. For the style of beer that I was brewing, a lemon radler, that's about 2 to 3 weeks. Now don't change it into a secondary before then, or you could mess up your brew. I've done that before. You need to give your yeast enough time to finish the primary fermentation process. Now next time we get together, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to bottle that brew, and then we're going to taste it as well. In the meantime, make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment down below. See you next time, Battle.